while we need to be winning things. And that's where the risk comes in. I just think Arsenal needs to simplify things so much more and say, we need a left wing and a striker. So let's go get a left wing and a striker. This is just a side mission that we don't need, and puts a lot of pressure on the player. To be honest, he's already under it. He's going to be the first bad touch. They're going to be on
Some
him.
of it's so harsh to him as well, man. That's
Yeah.
the thing. I think Arsenal fans will support you, but there is an element of it's a witch hunt, and I think people got to remember at the end of the day, this 23-year-old, whether he's good or not, has taken the jump to sign for Arsenal. Where quite frankly, we're tired of signing players from Chelsea and everything everybody said and acknowledges at this point. The biggest annoyance with the Madueke sign is nothing to do with him. It's just that if this cripples your ability, or maybe it doesn't, maybe you don't sign Rodrygo or Eze for reasons irrelevant from the 50 million, but we will think about that. You had 50 million that you spent on Madueke. Could you have spent others elsewhere? Now, I know people will point to, Alanga and Kudus and say we should have spent money. In fact, that's a question for you as well. Like, was we better off buying Mohamed Kudus? I know the numbers are quite similar because he had a poor season at West Ham, but would we be better off buying Kudus instead of Madueke?
I think I'm not sure that I believe that Kudus is so above the level of players that have gone for that same price point. I think that's price point of like the only player that's going for more than that is like Mbomo, and he deserves that because he scored 20 goals. Everybody else that's in that kind of like 50 to 60 range is more of like players that they're good, but they're not great. They have potential, but maybe they need some zhuzhing up. I think he's in that category, Kudus. So it's not that I think that he's just so much better than Madueke. I just think that it would have just been easier to get behind the signing, which inevitably makes it easier for the player to bet in. I would have wanted Kudus just for the simple fact that we're not giving a rival money and it's just a clean signing. There's no narratives around it or anything. But do I think he's like light years ahead? I think he's also an inconsistent, kind of frustrating player at times too, but he's probably had higher peaks than Noni has, so there's that. But I did want Kudus instead, but I would have wanted almost anybody than Noni because I just don't like the narrative and the connection. It's just too much for me. Maybe, and I know some people are like, well, that's just so immature, but I'm honest about my shit. I'm too immature to not care where he came from. So, I don't know what to tell you. He's
For me,
not
it's just a potential
player.
thing.
Yeah, it's for you. It's just a potential.
It's nothing even personal with Madueke, and I'm a hypocrite because I probably love the young players the most, and Martinelli, for example, players that have shown me a glimpse, but not exactly done it on a consistent basis. I ride with them. That's why I kind of gravitate towards Madueke. I just feel at where we're at now. Do your potential thing with Miles Lewis Skelly and Wanyeri. Just get me some attackers. I kind of know what I'm getting from, really and truly. I don't really want the potential. It just comes down to that. Like, as much as I don't think Madueke is terrible, there's too much squint in my eye doing ifs and buts. Like, someone in the comments, you're not wrong, but man are talking to me about XG and all of these things. I've even given myself the copium of, I remember, I don't even know if Arteta was telling the truth or not, but he spoke about Chelsea being one of the best attacking / counter-attacking teams. So I can see where Madueke pulls into that. But then at the same time, unless the tactics significantly improve, we're not known as one of the best counter-attacking teams because we don't move the ball quick enough. Yeah. But and what makes me even more harsh on this is I don't believe that we stumbled in the summer and thought, let's buy Madueke. I don't believe that we was offered Madueke. I genuinely think we went into the summer trying to sign him. So you must know in your head what you can do with this guy, innit, really? So just make it happen. It is lazy scouting, like to the point where I don't know, man. Do you think there's something dodgy going on between the higher powers that be at Arsenal and Chelsea? Because it's too much generally.
I don't know if I feel like it's dodgy dealings. I think what it is Chelsea have a model of just buying a bunch of players and they don't really care if they need to sell them because they know there'll always be a market to sell them because they're reputation in the market is a lot higher than ours. Like when we look at our reputation, nobody's ever checking for our players. We're going to really struggle to sell people like Zinchenko and Trossard. And that shouldn't be the case, but that's just what it is, where Chelsea buy these young players that people are going to be interested in, and then they offer good terms. And so I think we're like maybe what you would consider dodgy is actually just the fact that Chelsea will allow Arsenal to only have to pay £500,000 up front. So that allows us to have more money available. Where if you go to Lyon, who are in financial ruin, and ask them for Malik Fofana, they're going to say, we want the whole shit up front. We want almost all of
Yeah,
it
we've
up
got
front.
bills to pay.
We need it. Exactly. You go to West Ham for Kudus, they're going to want almost all of it up front. And so I don't necessarily feel like it's dodgy. I just think that that's their model. Their model is to have all these players and then be able to flip them, because they're basically flipping Nani for like 29 billion or
For
something
a
like
player
that.
they've had for what, 18 months, 2 years, made a
Yeah,
sizable profit.
100%. So, and Arsenal are lazy and they use a data approach. And so they don't care what comes out of that. I think the only thing that they will steer away from is a Spurs player. But when it comes down to it, they'll put the little parameters in the computer, it'll spit out a couple of names. And it's even better if they come from Chelsea, because one, they're prem proven, which Arsenal care about more than anything. And oh, by the way, they can penny pinch and pay in so many installments. And it's just an ugly relationship that's built based on those things. I actually don't think it's any more than that. Now, here's my thing as well. It's if you've gone to Chelsea and bought a player and you like to work with them because they give you the opportunity to push it in installments so you can have more money, then I'm 100% expecting another player to come in, because there's no reason to go for a lesser player or a problematic player to the fan base if you're just being cheap for cheap's sake. So you need to go out there and spend whatever money you're saving on another attacker. Period.
I'm with that.
I'm expecting
Shit.
somebody else to come in. If not, this is just not a good enough window.
You know how expectations are, they lead to disappointments. This is why I say I hope Eze comes in. For me, we'll get on to Rodrygo as we close out, but I'll focus my attentions on Eze. But boy, I don't know. What do you make of this comment? Has the history of underachievement not winning anything for 5 years now created an inferiority complex in our fan base? And are we okay with signing average players trying to justify? I personally think it's created an imbalance with fans. I think there's fans that Arsenal could shit in their hands and clap. They'll tell them that's amazing. I think there's fans that, and I'm not saying we shouldn't win stuff, but they think we're Bayern Munich and they're just moving mad. So I think it's a bit of both personally. But yeah, what do you make of that?
Yeah, I think shout out Valeria as well, because I met Valeria on my call-in and I love her. But
Oh,
I think what the underachievement has done is it's made Arsenal fans forget what actually is needed for us to win titles and to win Champions League. We've never won a Champions League before, you know what I mean, to get onto the biggest stages and all that kind of stuff. And so we're accepting this mediocrity, and because we've gotten closer to where we want to be, we feel like we've hit where we, now we're like, okay, well, we've made it, but we actually still nowhere near where we need to be to actually be back. And so I think it's just a lot of the more vocal fans and the most, I don't want to call them manipulative, but the most like mouthpieces out there like to spew this propaganda about our data and what we're doing and we're improving, because they grew up in the Emirates era. So they have no idea what it takes. But the older people, we're looking at it and we're like, when we were winning, we had Thierry Henry in our team, a top 1% player. He's a Wirtz player, top 1% type of player. You had Vieira in midfield. You had a top defense. You had this and that. And you had a world-class manager. So, and that's not changed. The formula to winning the Premier League has not changed. You need world-class players in your team. You need to have a world-class manager. But they don't know, so they're just talking about data and the finances and being the most, financially sound team and all this. And it's like, I don't want to hear that. We're not where we need to be. So I think the underachievement, what it has done is it's made people almost try to guess where we need to be and stuff like that. And they're not really like, they don't have the facts of how we're supposed to get there because they've never seen it before. And so that comes with the accepting Kai Havertz as a good player when in reality, a lot of us think that he's actually just average and holding us back.
Just a
Oh,
calm player. I wouldn't even say he's holding us back. Like, I just think you're just calm, but we don't need to make out you're the Messiah and that you've
well,
done well, but we're
it's
not going
the
to get out the
reason
hood with that.
it's the reason why there's Arsenal fans that would say, and I know we kind of spoke about like whether or not this player is overrated or not, but it's why they'll actually sit there on Beyonce's internet talking about how Rodrygo wouldn't make us better and he's average. But when we played them, what did he do? And
I
it's like,
nitpick at Jokeres, but make out Sesko is the best thing since sliced bread. This is someone that
yeah,
likes
it's
Sesko.
like that's what underachievement does. We'll actually sit up there. And of course, we had our day in the sun. We beat Real Madrid, but in the end of the day, they're winning stuff and we're not. So they still probably have better players than us. We beat them on, it's like Bournemouth beat us. Does that mean that their players are better than ours? Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's the underachievement. I just think that there's just too many super confident, talking all the time type of Arsenal fans that influence people that what we're doing is we're here already and we're just not. We're not there yet. We need to push more, you know?
Exactly. Like I always say this on my channel. Yeah, if you consider the last 3 years bordering on 4, or even you, if you want, you can say Mikel Arteta's whole tenure. When it's all said and done, we've done a lot of good things, but this is winning the Prem, right? We've
Mm.
come all this way and we're here now. We've flirted with it. We're doing that. Why are we acting now? We are closer to getting over the line, but it's not going to happen in the same premise of this. Look at all of the players that have fallen. So it's just natural that we need to stop putting squad players in first team regular roles. Before we finally get on to Rodrygo, big up BG. I can't leave my much questions out. Do you think there's a strategy to have two teams similar to Chelsea so that for the cup games, the second team will start at least in the early stages?
I mean, is that what we're doing? Building two teams? Um,
I can't say we are.
yeah, I don't necessarily feel like we are building two teams. I think we're still kind of dancing around wanting good squad depth, to be honest. So that's the one in, one out strategy tells me that that's not what they're really trying to do. But we should be trying to get close to a second team that could kind of win those early rounds pretty easily without stress. Yeah, so that's what we should be building towards. I don't think our second team is right now is bad, but you definitely need to bring in another player or two for me to really think that you're serious, and then keep our good players, move on Trossard and keep Martinelli. If it's the only case that you can bring in Rodrygo or another left wing, if you get rid of Martinelli, you're not trying to build two strong teams. You're just not.
You
So,
made a good point of that one in, one out. I mean, naturally, I can't sit here and say the Premier League and the champ shouldn't be Arsenal's priority, but I think that's where we're going. I think Arteta's kind of thrown the cups, quote unquote, since we won the FA Cup. League Cup, obviously, I want to win it, especially when you get to the semi-finals, but I don't think no one's going to kill him for that. I don't think we ain't got two teams in it. Like, we ain't got two teams. You'd imagine now with Norgard, with Kepa, Wanyeri minutes is there. Hopefully, Calafiori stays fit. I don't know for the Fabio Vieiras, the Zinchenko's, the Kivios, the Nelsons, anybody
yeah.
linked with moves that needs to go. If they're here, that's you lot's games in it. Now, naturally, if we get to semis, you want to see a strong team, but I don't think we're going to be there. I do think we want improved squad depth, but I wouldn't say like two teams, if that makes sense. We've got another super chat. Hey, big up yourself, Antonormus. Yeah, I tried, my guy. But Arteta is a very good coach, but horrible at player profiling. It's only because of his coaching why he's able to reach the levels he has. He needs a David Dean type of DOF. Appreciate the super chat. That's probably what Berta is going to be. I wouldn't say it's horrible. I think in the attack is where I'm like, oh, Arteta is looking a bit smelly because it's like you're bougie for on one hand, like you want Nico Williams and Rafinha and Rodrygo and this one and that one. And I don't think we've got the money necessarily to spend 100+ million on these players. And if we do, you kind of shoot yourself in the foot where you're spending 50 odd for Madueke, 65 on Kai and whatnot. I do think that's the area of the pitch I look at Arteta. I'm like, oh, because defense, I'm actually confident with you. You've shown me talent IDs there spot on. Midfield, there's been some duds, but Rice is a world-class 6 and a very good 8. Odegaard's form was crap, but he's done his thing. Zubamendi, I'm really bullish. Obviously, Partey when he was here kind of worked. Beyond that, it's been a bit. I know you've got Havertz and Marino up front. It's who have you really brought in that's done levels? Really, it'd be
Yeah.
Trossard's probably been the best recruitment. Martinelli and Saka were here already, as was Smith Rowe, which you got a tune out of. But yeah, where do you stand on that?
Yeah, I just think that Arteta is like he's his coaching gets us to where we are, but whatever else is going on in his head
The
keeps
biggest
us
gift
from
and
getting to
curse.
the next level. Exactly. And so depending on what side of this coin you sit on, some people will say, well, if we didn't have Arteta, we'd never get there. The reason why we're here is because of him. And I'm like, that's true, but he's also making key decisions that are keeping us from getting to the next level. Because I just feel like if you had a different manager in this position, they would never make some of these big decisions and not just improve certain it's just so obvious what we need, but we still keep skirting around it. And it's so weird. And I just can only think it's because he's comfortable and he
There is
has
an element of comfortability here. Let's not
yeah,
be because
he has been
Madueke is not
trying
going to be a madness after a year. Like, that's a couple of projects. So
yeah.
there is that.
You have these champagne dreams, of Isak's my number one option and Nico Williams my number one option, Rodrygo. And then once we get beyond those, it's like if we didn't have Berta, and this is how I really think of it, is that because before Berta came in, the second option behind Sesko was not Gyökeres, it's Ollie Watkins. After Sesko, it's Ollie Watkins. If this summer had played out without Berta and with Edu, we would be getting Ollie Watkins. And that's no shade to him, but it's just the next option after the number one option is usually just so underwhelming or a project. Instead of because we lost Shaka, they wanted Mount, and then Kai Havertz was on the market, and then we pivoted over there. We're just so weird. You just needed to get a Granit Xhaka replacement, but you went in a different direction. You just need a left wing, but you're bringing in Madueke. It's like we're constantly trying to get close, and then once we get close, we untangle everything and just start again. And so, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is with Macau and the club, but it's frustrating, and I am worried.
I gotta ask you,
Concerned.
Rodrygo stuff, man. Rodrygo, apparently they won't sell him for cheap.
Yeah,
Sources close to the deal say it's not impossible, but it's looking like it's closed. There are rumors equally that say Arsenal are still on the hunt. Some say we've closed the door. Liverpool have joined the race. Is there any hope from you with Rodrygo signing?
no. Because
Yeah.
I think we're at the stage now where once they start saying we need to sell to buy, you can really just kind of count out big moves from here. And this is why I'm really worried about the Eze thing. I'm really not that worried about the Rodrygo thing anymore because it's like that was kind of like a dream anyway. If Arsenal went out and got Rodrygo, I'd be incredibly like, oh my, I can't believe they've done that. That's not how we operate. But this is what I'm more concerned about now is we know Chelsea have the money for the release clause. We know
And
that.
more favorable terms as well if they don't pay the release clause.
This is what I'm saying. Exactly. Like if they say, well, we're going to play the release clause and we want to do it next week, but Arsenal are saying that they still need to sell, or do you want this player? We're not getting him, and he's not going to stay at Crystal Palace just because he can't go to Arsenal. So there's a very real
He's an Arsenal
possibility.
fan, Jess. He grew up supporting us, some would say.
Well, there's tons of Arsenal fans that play for other clubs, and we know that, so it's really disappointing because now that they've entered the race, it is very, like even this like little rumor here, it's like that's not going to happen, is it? We need the money. We need to either be able to play it in those 3 installments or all up front. And this is
Exactly.
where having better owners would come into play because I think better owners make sure you have that money available. And, we just maybe just whatever we would have used next summer, we just push it off and we're like, okay, cool, we'll just make it happen. But Andrea Berta is going to have to move heaven and earth to try to get this deal done. And I know they want to do it, but they might fall short just because Arteta decided he really wanted Madueke, and that's unfortunate. And we've been saying this, like Sky Sports saying Eze is a primary target. They know they can. We've been hearing that for 2 weeks now. Gonna make an approach, know about the release clause. He wants to come, all that kind of stuff. And the longer you wait, the more likely it is that other teams will come in because, things change in the market. And the last thing you need is a Premier League club with more money than you coming in for a player that you may have to rob Peter to pay Paul to buy. So they've set themselves up so badly here. And we know Chelsea are looking for a player like this because they want Morgan Rogers, but Eze is the natural pivot away from that. If you want to get somebody, he's easy to get for them. The only thing we have is that he wants to come to us right now, but things can change.
And the difference with Eze as well, yeah, like big up Madueke. I'm not trying to make it about him. Big up Kai Havertz and anyone that's kind of blurred their lines and we're like, oh, yeah. And I'll say the exception is Ryle. I hear all of that, what people are saying. With Eze, no one ain't telling me about XG. I ain't seen, when we say the name Eze, I ain't heard about
Yep.
XG, box crashing, this, that. I'm not squinting eyes and I'm not being disrespectful to Madueke. You can just see Eze is a good player, improves us, keep it moving. No one was doing that around Rice. No one's doing that around Gyökeres. No one's doing that around certain players. Like, why can't we just be honest? Like, we need proven players. And for me, there's more of a need to get Eze with Madueke so that we have the best of both worlds. If Madueke locks down the left-hand side, takes someone off, take Saka's spot off the right, great. But if he's struggling, you've got Eze. Or if Eze's starting, Madueke comes in. They both can bring something. And I think that's the annoying thing in that you're signing Zubamendi, you're signing Gyökeres. Obviously, you're getting a couple of squad players. And then you're going for what could end up being an expensive gamble because the best thing is that we get to see Madueke's potential and the upside and everything else. The worst is he's going to be exactly like Martinelli, exactly like Trossard, where, yeah, you lot could be squad players, but we don't know what we're going to get across a 38-game season. You're going to be the best player on the pitch for the first 5 games. The second 5 games, it could be crazy. So when Arteta said you usually win the league with 89 points, he wasn't lying. He wasn't lying, but look at the squad. How do you get 89 points, 90 odd points? We knew that. We don't need Arteta to tell us that. We know that with Liverpool, you go and get a striker, you might not have 14 draws, you might have 7. There's different conversations. Let's cut the bullshit. Arteta's done a lot of good things, but no man is above criticism. He has shot himself in the foot several times, and as a club, we need to learn our lessons. But I think with what you're saying around Eze, it's a case of outgoings, man. Like, I don't believe the swap deal thing. Reece Nelson's being linked with a loan to Fulham. That ain't helping us. You need to go permanently
You're gonna have to
unless
pay
there's
the
an
money.
obligation.
You need the money, and we're not good at selling. Nobody's really knocking down our door for any of our players. Most of our players are on a list of other players that other teams, if they want to buy them, it's gonna be well down the list. If Bayern are very desperate to get Luis Diaz, they're going to get Luis Diaz. So they're not going to buy Martinelli or Trossard. Like, if Saudi doesn't come in for Trossard, he's gonna stay. It's so frustrating how we can't move players on, but we should not have to move players on to bring in a primary target. We
I don't
shouldn't.
even think it's because of that. I just think the club naturally last season, I think we were all like, if we put ourselves back 12 months ago, we missed out on the league via a point or whatever it was to City. We went into the market. Yeah, if we got this, that, the other, we're going to be lit. Basically, everything we were hoping for and still hoping for this summer. We hope we did it we hope we did it last year. And I don't doubt that. But then when you look at the fact that, Arteta went for Marino and Calafiori, clearly we didn't have the budget. I do think there was an element of selling players and bringing money in, shown with Ramsdale and Nketiah and Smith Rowe. Obviously, there was reasons beyond money. And I think naturally that's still going to be the case. Berta, I said it earlier, I think Berta's got a great record with Atletico Madrid. He's clearly shown in several ways already. He's better than Edu. But naturally, his banking background, that had to have got the Cronkies going, if I'm honest with you. That is going to help us. We've ripped up a couple deals. We're probably going to shed some wages off. I don't think we need to sell. I just think naturally we're going to do that. I think we're assuming Gyökeres comes in. We're going to do the bulk of our business. We're going to stop for a
Why
sec,
haven't we
focus on
moved for
outgoing.
Eze yet if we don't need to sell?
I wish I knew. I
Because it
wish
doesn't
I knew.
make sense that we've been preparing to approach
But just
for
we've heard for years now. Oh my god, like the powder's dry. We've got no FFP issues. I don't think we've got FFP issues. We're the best run, like statistically, one of the best, if not the best run club in the world, essentially, in some metrics. I, I can't accept that from them.
and they're like, oh, well, now they need to start with outgoings to bring other people in. It's the same thing every window. Once we get to this point where we really need this like special attacking player, somebody with X factor, somebody that's going to lift our levels, it's just stopping. It's just stopping. So it just frustrates me so much because you could have got this done first. We could have, we could have sold things to get mascara after. We could, like it's just they don't care about improving the attack as much as they should.